Did you know that there was a man who lived in the Maine woods for 27 years? 27 years. No electricity, no talking to anyone, no contact with the outside world, no contact with his family, no phone, nothing. Meanwhile, even though I live alone, I can't go too long without having either a robocall or a spam text or watching YouTube or whatever, or else I feel like everybody's forgotten me. My family's forgotten me. My friends have forgotten me. Where are they? So, welcome to Senior Insights. My name is Cynthia, and I hope you stuck around this long because we are going to talk about how I decided to talk about this. I am reading a book right now, and it's called The Stranger in the Woods, and it's about the extraordinary story of the last hermit, and it's by Michael Finkel. Michael Finkel is the author of this book. The reason I'm reading it, it's not the type of book that I would have picked up, but my friend Ian gave it to me when we were on vacation, and in a moment of desperation yesterday, I read it. I started reading it, and I was hooked right from the beginning. I found it's very easy reading. It's kind of simply read. Well, there's a lot of psychology in it, so, you can sort of skip over that, but I had to pay attention a little bit so I could talk about the book and us. So, but the story got me thinking about how seniors live. And many of the people in this group live alone, men and women, and that doesn't make them hermits. In fact, the differences are fascinating and kind of funny in a way. So let's compare real hermit life with senior alone life and see what it really means to choose solitude, enjoy independence, and still stay connected. So just for a little background, this man, his name is Christopher Knight. He was 20 years old. He's extremely bright. He had a job one day. He had a brand new car that he got a couple of weeks before he made this decision. And he walks out of his job, gets in his car, and starts driving around, not knowing where he's going. He went down south, he went up, and then he came back and he headed up to Maine, where he was originally from, and he just kept going and going and going, and then he'd pull the car over. He pulled the car over, threw the keys in it, and walked away from the car. It was a brand new car. It was a Subaru. And he walked away from it. And he just walked in the woods. And it took him several months to find a place that he felt comfortable enough settling down. So he did. And he found this really cool place. You know, when I take you for walks and you see all the rocks and things, I said, remember when I take you for rocks? Remember when I used to take you for walks? I would show you all of these big, huge boulders and rocks, and they're tumbled on top of each other. Well, he found a place that was kind of in the woods, but it was kind of corralled almost, like a 9-by-10 room. The rocks almost provided a room, and there was just a little entrance into that spot, and that's where he chose to live. He had no intention when he went in the woods to be a hermit. He didn't even know what the heck he was doing. He just went. Now see, I was going to compare this with us, and now I'm telling you the whole story of the hermit. Maybe that's the way it will go, and I'll try and throw something about us in there. He didn't tell anyone he was going. He didn't tell his mother. He had 5 or 6 siblings. He was the next to the youngest, and he had one sister, and she had Down syndrome, and he was very close to her. He had friends, not many. He was kind of considered a nerd, but he wasn't, like an outcast bullied or anything to my knowledge, or it didn't say so in the book, but he just starts wandering off in the woods with the clothes on his back. Nothing else. No food, no water. How could you give up a car? I would die for that car. So for 27 years, he avoided all contact with human beings. He said hello once in 27 years to someone he met on a walking trail, and he was terrified that they would find him. And they didn't. It took them a long time to find him. What did he just felt more comfortable alone. He just wanted to be alone. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt like you may want to be a hermit? When I was a kid, I used to love making like camps in the woods. And the rocks around here, I would have loved to have had when I was a kid. I'd be playing with them all the time. I don't think that I would live in that cabin in the wood, that tree thing that I made in the woods. Maybe one night, not by myself. He did. But he soon realized that, hey, I'm getting hungry. And how ridiculous is this? I don't even have a sleeping bag. I don't have a tent. What the heck am I doing? So he made a decision that he was going to borrow things from the camps around. He was near 2 lakes. And I don't know if you've heard of Moosehead Lake, but it was in that area. So there were a lot of summer camps. And many years ago, the camps were really primitive. And probably there are still many that are very primitive. But he figured out where these camps were. He figured out how to get into them when no one was there. He would study the people that owned the homes or that would come. Most of them were summer residents, just like on the road that I live on. But there were a few people that lived year-round, but he never went into a house of the people that lived near-round. And he got so skilled at it that he would go in and he'd raid the cupboards, maybe the non-perishables that people left. Flour, salt, matches, batteries were a hot commodity. He always took those. But he was a reader. He would peruse all the books that they had. Sometimes he was disappointed because he liked reading Plato and Socrates. This was no slouch that was in the woods. He wasn't hallucinating. He was just choosing to live as a hermit. He felt guilty every time he went into a house to steal because he was brought up very strictly. He was not abused. He was not sexually abused. He was not abused by his parents. They had very rigid things to live by. What am I talking about? Morals. I don't know. But anyway, he felt guilty every single time. He started off by raiding people's gardens. So, that wasn't too bad. He'd take carrots or corn or whatever was around, even potatoes. But then, the gardens go away in the fall. And he also was getting kind of sick of eating vegetables all the time. I'd get sick of it really quick because I don't really care for vegetables, which is why I'm in the shape that I am in. So that kind of made him come to the realization that he had to start stealing food and other things. He didn't have a blanket. He didn't have a sleeping bag, so he had to equip his camp. But he felt bad about it, if that's any consolation. And he would do minor, he didn't damage the doors or anything. He would unscrew them and he would put them back. And he became a legend, all around, because intermittently there would be camps that were entered and things stolen. So he had over the 27 years, he stole numerous mattresses because his mattresses would get moldy. You can imagine being in the cold and having a cold and then warm, and and the moisture from the ground. So he had to make sure he had mattresses and blankets, and he got himself a backpack, and I told you, flashlights and batteries, and he would steal propane tanks that were full. Now, he walked for miles and miles. It wasn't like, your next door neighbor. No, he walked through the woods, and he didn't want anyone to be able to track him, because he knew, as he lived there, people were starting to notice. He was becoming a legend, and they couldn't find him anywhere. So he would scope out the houses. He'd watch what the habits were of the people. And I hope I'm not boring you, but I'm going to get to us pretty soon. I started this differently than I had planned on doing it. Happens to me quite frequently. But I want to tell you the story. So he had a tent. He had a little propane stove. He had his whole area set up. He had a washing area. He had a bathing area. He was very clean. He was very fastidious. He never had a shower in all those years, but he shaved. Every time he went and broke into a home, he cleaned himself up, put on a new outfit that he had, so that they wouldn't suspect that there was something wrong with him, or that he might be the burglar. So there were game wardens who were dying to catch him, dying to find him. His parents didn't know where he were. His father passed away before he was actually found. But, it was their mission in life to find this guy. And so, as time went on, the camps had security systems. Well, guess what? That first job that he had, that he walked away from, was dealing with security systems. So he was able to figure out where the security systems were. He had keys for all of the houses that he went into, and he found special places to hide them. Because, how many keys can you have? And he didn't want to make any noise in the woods. So he would find a place under a rock, someplace close to where he was going, and he'd get the key. So he didn't have to break into them all the time. And I guess initially when they were catching on that somebody was stealing their stuff, some people felt sorry for him, and they would leave bags of food out on their porches and stuff, because they felt sorry for him, and they knew that that's what he was basically taking things that he needed to live. But he never touched those, because he was afraid that they would find him, and he did not want his solitude interrupted at all. Now you might say, well, how come he didn't fish and he didn't hunt? Because he was a hunter. He was trained by his dad, and a fisher. Well, he didn't have a fishing pole, and he didn't have a rifle, and he didn't steal any of that stuff from anybody, to my knowledge. I'm just telling you what I read in the book. And so he didn't do trapping or anything to catch meat. But he would load up his backpack. He had a place where he stored it in his camp, where he stored the food. He eventually accumulated like totes and stuff, and His camp was very neat, but when they found him, they said it really smelled. He did not smell. But he had 27 years of garbage and trash, but he buried it all. The foundation of his tent platform was National Geographic magazines that he took from some of these camps. So you can imagine how many he took. And he said he didn't really he read them all, but he really didn't like National Geographic because of one article that he read. And the article was this picture of a little boy in Africa or India or someplace who was standing by 3 dead sheep. He was a little sheep herder. And National Geographic took this picture of this poor kid in misery. And what did I say his name is? Christopher. He thought that was terrible, that they took advantage of that child. They took care of his shame. They took advantage of his shame. He was a sheep herder, and the sheep got killed on his watch. So that's why he didn't like National Geographic. I don't blame him. I think I agree. I think lots of times we take advantage of little kids. How do you like all these beauty queens? Oh, getting off the subject. So, anyway, the winters were really, really tough. There were times when he felt like this might be the end, but he always got through it. There was one time, I think he said it was 20 below. He stole thermometers too. He had 3 because he wanted to make sure that, he wanted to compare them and make sure they were all right. And he liked it. He loved it. He had a little radio, so sometimes he would listen to the news, so he was sort of aware of what was going on in the world. But that's it. You say, how did he spend his time? He spent his time cleaning and puttering up around his camp, stealing. He didn't do that every day. He planned his trips. And he didn't leave any footprints anyplace. He skipped on the rocks, so he knew the whole area. Anyway, I forget where I was. So I thought it was a really cool story. And the person who wrote the book, obviously, is a reporter. And once he got caught, he used to steal from a camp, a boys' camp, I think it was Pine Tree Camp. So it was a place where kids went to camp. So they had a big dining hall and a big kitchen and all that. And he was a frequent traveler there. But he had a key to the place, but the wardens knew that was the place he would go because they would have meat in the freezer and all that stuff. So they set him up. He usually could spot where the cameras were, and he could work around them. But they hid these microscopic things. The game wardens got these instruments from the government somehow. It was a secret project that they were doing, and they let them use these surveillance things because they knew that he would come back to the Pine Tree Camp. And sure enough, one day he goes in, and he's very careful. He tries not to destroy everything, but he even has a key to the walk-in freezer. He must have collected them when he was in the houses. You throw your keys on the counter. Look at me, I found those keys in my junk drawer the other day. I wonder if Carol cleaned out her junk drawer. I gotta check up on her. Anyway, so they found him. Now, I'm being sympathetic to him, and the whole world is angry with him that he got away with this for so long. And how could he do such a thing? I think it's kind of cool. Of course, I wouldn't like it if he broke into my house because, of course, if you feel like somebody was in your house, you feel violated or you feel whatever. But he got 27 years of living alone. He just liked living alone. It was peaceful. He knew all the birds. He knew the sounds of the woods. He knew the sound of the water. He knew the sound. He knew when people, he wasn't that far away from people, but his compound was very well shielded. They did air flights trying to find him, and they couldn't. He was a big federal criminal. So I think that he chose extreme solitude. And he describes it that he didn't really choose it. It just kind of happened. And he discovered that that's what he was going to do. He wasn't wishing that he had someone to talk to. He didn't want a wife. He didn't want children. Apparently, he didn't miss his family. He wasn't checking the mailbox hoping for a letter. Not checking Facebook, seeing what people were doing. He wanted to be completely cut off. But seniors living alone, most of you enjoy your quiet time. You enjoy living alone. But I'm thinking that you still like to get a phone call once in a while. I know I would. I have 2 people that call me, and I wish that I had a few more. But why could I get a few more if I don't make phone calls myself? So maybe a neighbor saying hello, or maybe walking up the street and saying, "Hi, Jane." A doctor's appointment. Like I said, I love going to doctor's appointment. I think they keep me, not only do they keep me alive, they don't do anything for me, but they make me laugh because I take it as a challenge to be as weird as I can when I go into the doctor. So, but I need that human contact. Friends that you chat with on the phone. And your favorite channels like Senior Insights that you watch every day. We all need these things. So if you guys are new here, come on, sign up, subscribe, because you're missing out if you're not in it. Right, folks? So, are you a hermit? Let's do a little test. Do you still answer your phone? Do you have a phone? You're like me, you have 2 phones. Well, actually, I have 3. I have an old cell phone that I play my games on. I have a house phone, and I have my regular smartphone. We're not hermits if we have those things. If you get irritated when the doorbell rings or someone knocks on the door, you might be a hermit in training. There are parts of me that would like to be a hermit. Did you ever fantasize about that? I'm wondering if you ever thought that maybe you'd like to just go in the woods and get away from everybody. I think that there are some of the people in this community that are alone, and they just go from place to place, and they like the minimal contact with people. They're off-grid. I'm kind of off-grid, but I have electricity, internet, and all that stuff, and I have a toilet. If you rely on the thermostat. Now remember, he didn't have any heat. He didn't steal like a little space heater or anything, or a gas stove. No, he didn't heat his tent. He just piled on sleeping bags, and he spent a lot of time in bed. Now, I know you guys spend a lot of time in bed, and now since I've got my mattress, I might have to spend a little bit of time in bed too. Do you have your groceries delivered? You talk to the delivery guy. You wave to the mailman, or the mailman knows me. My mailman came down the driveway the other day, and he said, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, you haven't picked up your mail, and I haven't seen your car." I said, "I never pick up my mail. I'm too lazy to walk up to the..." Well, it hurts. And do you use electricity or do you light with gas lights? Those people that are out off grid, tell me, do you use gas lights? Have you ever complained about the Wi-Fi going out? Oh my goodness, I do that all the time. I am absolutely not a hermit. Hermits don't even know what Wi-Fi is. Sometimes we don't know either, but we do. We keep learning, we keep trying. It is amazing to me how many older people are on this channel. You figured it out. You figured out how to subscribe. You figured out how to like. You figured out how to make comments. That is so cool. That hermit in his tent for 27 years didn't even know Wi-Fi existed. He certainly didn't have any. He did have a watch that he stole from someone, and when after he got caught, he felt really bad because it was given to this kid. It wasn't a fancy watch or anything, but it was given to this kid by his grandfather. So he had like some kind of remorse. He was ashamed of what he did. I guess we would all be ashamed if we had to steal things. Well, sometimes you have to do what you have to do, right? So another big comparison is hermits survive. Seniors manage. You manage your finances, you manage your house, you manage your pets, you manage yourself, you manage your car, you manage all these things. Hermits are out there building shelters, sneaking food like raccoons that come on my porch all the time, heating things over fires, and living off grid. Seniors, I already said this, seniors who live alone are paying the bills, you're keeping appointments, you're organizing medication, you're cleaning out your junk drawer. Why don't you clean out your junk drawer and we'll find another hermit and we'll donate it to them? You make decisions independently, or you run it by someone, but you're the one who decides, right? So don't you think this is kind of fun, talking about the hermit? And talking about the hermit, one of the things I think that people think about seniors who live alone is that they're isolated, that they don't have any friends. And that's not true. That's not true. Many seniors living alone are socially connected. They go to women's groups or the senior center, or they talk to their family regularly. Not me. I talk to my friends regularly, participating in clubs, church groups, and communities, sharing hobbies. Sometimes there's a quilting club or mahjong game. I got to find out how to play that. And you stay mentally and emotionally active. Now, he stayed mentally active. He thrived on reading. He liked ancient history, and he liked history, and he just loves it. But he avoided people entirely. He would actually get anxious if there were people nearby. And one time, I told you, he met a grandfather, a son, and a son on a walking path, and he just walked by and said, "Hi." But they stopped. And they said, "Don't worry, we're not going to tell anybody. We promise you we won't tell." They knew who he was. So he, of course, was nervous, but they made a pact. So you choose who you interact with, when you interact. So that's the difference between a hermit. He was terrified when he met those people. That's the only encounter he had the whole time he was in the woods. So we've talked about this a lot. Are you alone? Are you lonely? We're just going to talk about it a little because we've talked about it quite a bit. Being alone is a physical state. You know, like I'm alone in my house. Being lonely is an emotional state. So being lonely makes you feel empty. It makes you feel alone. Realize you're alone. You can still live with someone and still feel lonely. I know that there are people out there that have spouses that they don't even talk to each other. Have you ever gone out to breakfast years ago or out to dinner and they're both it's mostly breakfast, I think. They're both reading the newspaper. Now it's the cell phones, and I do it myself. I try not to, but I do it. It's disgusting. But anyway, we choose to do that, and that person is still there. You can live alone and still feel peaceful, content, and satisfied and absolutely fine. And that's kind of the way I feel most of the time. So what matters most is connections, not roommates. Well, I suppose they matter, but not as much. So it doesn't always mean that you have to have someone living with you to have a connection. I bet you have connections. Do you go to your senior center? Do you go to a knitting group, a crochet group, whatever? I have to fit my notes. You do those things. You have a pet. You have a neighbor that you say, hi. And most importantly, we have senior insights. Do you know, I never thought in my wildest dreams that this would be a community of friends. Oh, here I go. That's what I said in my first video. I wanted to be your friend, and I wanted you to be my friend, and I wanted you to come to watch Senior Insights because you wanted to hang out with me. And you know what? That's happened. We all hang out with each other. So anyway, there you go, blah, blah, blah. So living alone doesn't define your emotional life of loneliness. You do. So if you're lonely, figure out how to do it. And of course, I will be talking about it at some point again. So let's think about this for a moment. What kind of alone are you? Are you the kind of person that feels peaceful, calm, free, independent, where you can watch anything you want on TV, you can watch any YouTube channel you want on TV, you can eat cereal for dinner, you can eat spaghetti for breakfast, you can keep the house exactly as you like it. Oh, when I start talking, there's so many things I want to talk to you about. I want to tell you when I decluttered something else, but I'm not going to. You'll have to wait. You can take naps without asking permission. If you want to, you can doze off in the chair. You enjoy silence. So, rest assured, you are not a hermit. That is not a hermit's life. That's healthy independence. That's what it is. Hermits hide and seniors live alone. And that's the way it goes. So, you built a lifetime of relationships. You built the stories, memories, and wisdom. People share memories in this community, and it's fun. Whether you live with someone or not, you're still part of this world. You still matter. You still make an impact. You're very special in this community. So, unlike the hermit who vanished into the trees and played house for 27 years with nobody there, you have chosen a lifestyle that meets your needs. Some of us haven't chosen to live alone, but I mean, we've accepted it. Well, sort of. I mean, we didn't have a choice, you know. So you either suck it up and do it, or you wallow in misery. And we don't want to wallow in misery. You thrive in your own home. I find myself thriving more and more. You should see this place. It's like an explosion of my decluttering activities. So there's a big difference between a hermit and us. So I want you to think about this story. You might even consider reading it, although I told you the whole thing. Talk about what do they call that? I can't remember what that is. A spoiler. So it's a lot of that, but it's real easy reading. It's fast reading. And the reason I didn't read it in one day is because I really tried to pay attention to it. Tell me, if you live alone, what you enjoy most about living alone. Do you enjoy your independence? Do you enjoy the peace? Tell us what your thoughts and experiences are. And I will see you. I don't know if I'll do a video on Tuesday or we'll do a live, so I'm going to leave you hanging. I'll see you either Tuesday or Wednesday. Please like, share, and hype this video. I will see you. Bye-bye.